I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into a framework that we put in place. This was actually a lesson learned from the flood that we implemented prior to the other two crises we had in 2014. And it has to do with the roles and responsibilities of the board of directors compared to that of management and the CEO. And this is something that you don't often, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. We hadn't anticipated. But it's a framework that we now have in place, and it's really quite simple. What we have on the board is a simple illustration of it. But I will tell you, it's actually only on one page, and it's not mouse prints. You can actually read it. So it's not all that complicated, and it's simply this. It defines in advance what are the expectations and the roles and responsibilities of the CEO in particular compared to the board of directors or the board chair. If it's an operational crisis, and the three that we're citing here today were all considered operational crisis, then in that type of situation, the CEO has the lead responsibility to not only lead the organization and the crisis, but also as the lead spokesperson publicly. Now, as CEO, we have mechanisms in place now that we will keep the board apprised, typically daily. There's a dial-in number they can call. We can send them out a message once a day, so they are kept up to speed. In addition to that, it's the prerogative of the CEO if they need additional assistance. If I need additional assistance, I can call any one of those board members, but particularly the board chair, to come in and step in and assist in whatever manner that we think would be helpful. So the board is up to speed, but it's the lead role of the CEO. If it's a crisis of what we call governance, sometimes that might be called crisis of confidence in the company, or it's any crisis really involving the CEO, then that same accountability and responsibility is that of the board, in particular the board chair. Now, you can't really see it on this slide, it's a little hard to read, but there's an arrow between operational crisis and governance crisis, if for some reason something starts out as an operational crisis. But for whatever reason, the CEO is ineffective. Hopefully that's not the case, but it does happen at times. We can think of some examples of maybe that's where we've seen that happen. Then it becomes a crisis of confidence or a crisis of governance, and then it transitions over to the board. We use this framework for the couple of the last two crises, and I can tell you that it was so instrumental in having clear lines of communication and expectation between me and my team and the board of directors, and it helped us respond much better. We knew what to expect.